What happens when a head coach suddenly disappears? And the very first move her replacement makes completely flips everything you thought you knew. Because what just happened with Team USA didn't just shock fans. It exposed a coaching decision that may have been holding back the most dominant player in women's basketball. And by the end of this game, one moment didn't just change the lineup, it may have changed the future of Team USA basketball entirely. This all went down during Team USA's FIBA qualifying run. On paper, this roster was stacked: elite WNBA stars, rising phenoms, and one name that had all the attention: Caitlin Clark. Expectations were sky high. But what unfolded early in the tournament left fans confused and, honestly, frustrated. Because in the very first game, Clark didn't just play well. She did something nobody in international women's basketball had ever done before. She shattered 5 FIBA world records in a single game. Not one lucky night. Not one hot streak. 5 separate records: assists, efficiency, total control of the game. It was historic. The kind of performance that forces a team to say, "This is our engine now." But what happened next made no sense. Instead of building the offense around her, head coach Kara Lawson started shifting Clark off the ball, and even benching her during critical stretches. No injury, no bad performance, no matchup issue, just rotation decisions. And fans immediately felt it. Because every time Clark left the floor, or stopped running the offense, the entire system slowed down. The ball stopped moving. The energy dropped. Possessions turned into awkward half-court struggles. It was like watching a completely different team. But here's where it got even more frustrating. A reporter asked Lawson directly about Caitlin Clark's role. Simple question. Clear opportunity. And Lawson didn't answer it. She pivoted. Talked about team balance. Shared minutes. Everyone being a star on their WNBA teams. All nice ideas, but completely avoided saying Clark's name. And when you watch it back, it almost feels intentional. But what most people missed is what was happening behind the scenes. Because sitting in that same coaching environment was Stephanie White, the Indiana Fever head coach, and Caitlin Clark's coach at the WNBA level. And if you followed Clark's pro career, you already know, White's system tends to slow things down. Less pace, less ball dominance, more control. So now you've got 2 coaches in the same system, both seemingly more comfortable when Caitlin Clark is doing less. That's not random. That's a philosophy. And fans started calling it exactly what it looked like: the anti-Clark system. But then, everything changed. Because the numbers didn't lie. Whenever Clark ran the offense, Team USA looked unstoppable. Fast pace. Beautiful ball movement. Assist numbers skyrocketing. But the second she was taken out of that role, everything collapsed into slow, stagnant basketball. Clark never complained. Not once. No interviews. No social media shots. Nothing. She just kept producing. And somehow, that silence made everything louder. Then came the Puerto Rico game. And this is where the tension really started to show. Clark, calm as ever, mentioned post-game that the team needed to play faster, that the pace wasn't where it should be. Simple words. But if you were paying attention, the message was clear. Let me run the game. And just when it felt like things couldn't get more strange, they did. Heading into the New Zealand matchup, Kara Lawson was gone. No announcement. No explanation. No injury report. One day she's coaching. The next day she's not even on the sideline. And that's when Nate Tibbetts stepped in. And what he did next changed everything. Before the game even tipped off, Tibbetts made one decision that said it all. He put Caitlin Clark in the starting lineup. No hesitation. No rotation experiment. No speeches about equal minutes. He simply looked at the roster and started the best player. And what happened next was absolute domination. Team USA didn't just win, they destroyed New Zealand. 101-46. A 55-point blowout. And suddenly, everything looked different. The offense was alive again. The pace was electric. The ball was flying. Transition buckets. Open shooters. Pure flow. Clark was back in control, and the results were undeniable. But the biggest moment didn't happen on the court. It happened after the game. Because Nate Tibbetts stepped up to the podium and did something coaches almost never do. He told the truth. No vague answers. No coach speak. No hiding. He admitted the rotations had been mixed too much. That the team hadn't built real chemistry. That this lineup, featuring Clark, Plum, Buchers, Reese, and Howard, was working. In other words, the previous approach wasn't working. And everyone knew exactly what he meant. That kind of honesty, it's rare. Coaches usually protect each other. They deflect. They stay diplomatic. Tibbetts didn't. And now, everything is up in the air. Because this isn't just about one game. This is about the future of Team USA. Does Kara Lawson come back and restore the old system? Or does USA Basketball look at the results, a record-breaking performance, a 55-point blowout, and decide this new approach is the way forward? And it doesn't stop there. Because this situation is now bleeding into the WNBA. Stephanie White is still coaching Caitlin Clark in Indiana. And now the contrast is impossible to ignore. You've seen what happens when Clark is unleashed. Now imagine if the Indiana Fever fully commit to that style. With Aaliyah Boston inside. Sophie Cunningham spacing the floor. Shooters running in transition. Clark pushing the pace at full speed. That's not just a good team. That's a nightmare for the entire league. That kind of honesty, it's rare. Coaches usually protect each other. They deflect. They stay diplomatic. Tibbetts didn't. And now, everything is up in the air. Because this isn't just about one game. This is about the future of Team USA. Does Kara Lawson come back and restore the old system? Or does USA Basketball look at the results, a record-breaking performance, a 55-point blowout, and decide this new approach is the way forward? And it doesn't stop there. Because this situation is now bleeding into the WNBA. Stephanie White is still coaching Caitlin Clark in Indiana. And now the contrast is impossible to ignore. You've seen what happens when Clark is unleashed. Now imagine if the Indiana Fever fully commit to that style. With Aaliyah Boston inside. Sophie Cunningham spacing the floor. Shooters running in transition. Clark pushing the pace at full speed. That's not just a good team. That's a nightmare for the entire league.